At any point of time, if you want to answer the questions, you can raise your hand. We can do it together. All right. All right, so let us just start today's sessions. Okay. Last week we have gone through the booklet A. Booklet A basically consists of all the multiple choice questions, and I believe that we've nearly completed the sections. For today, we will go straight down to section B, where is all the open-ended questions. To let you have a taste of what is like for the science examination in Singapore. All right, so we will kickstart today's session by answering question 29 onwards. So for question 29, Mina, Nadia, and Owen compared the life cycle of the cockroach with that of a mosquito and have made the following statement. So after checking both sides, they actually say that one lady, Mina, say that both animals have a 3-stage life cycle. For Nadia, Nadia says that both animals have wings in the adult stage. Owen says that the young of both animals resembled the adults. Based on these 3 statements, there is two children who have said something wrong that is not right. So anyone can tell me which of the 3 students' statement is wrong? Well, if you look carefully, the life cycle of the cockroach is actually consists of 3 stages. We have the egg, followed by the young, and then lastly, adult. Whereas for the mosquito, there is 4 different stages. We have the young, we have the egg, the larva, we have a pupa, then adult. So therefore, the first student that say wrong is actually Mina. The reason why, because we can say that the mosquito has a 4-stage life cycle, but the cockroach has a 3-stage life cycle. Therefore, Mina's statement is actually wrong, because we know that the life cycle of mosquito is 4-stage: egg, larva, pupa, and adult, whereas for cockroach is actually 3-stage. Next up, the other student that is wrong apart from Mina is actually Owen. Why do we say Owen is wrong? Owen mentioned that the young of both animals resembles the adults. This is wrong. Why? Because the young of the mosquito does not resemble the adult. We have larva, the larva of mosquito swimming in the water, whereas the adult mosquito have wings flying around. So therefore, this statement made by Owen is wrong, because the young of the mosquito does not resemble the adult, but the young of the cockroach resembles the adults. So from there, after looking at the 3 statements and answering the question, we know that Mina and Owen make the wrong statement, whereas Nadia answered the correct statement, whereby both adults cockroach and adult mosquito have wings to fly around. With that, question 29, this is how we answer the question for question 29, A1 and A2. All right. Next up, let's do together. Of course, at any point of time, if anyone would like to answer the question, do let me know, all right? Next part. The adult mosquito can spread diseases to humans. However, it is difficult to get rid of the adult mosquito. Based on the life cycle of mosquito, we know that life cycle of mosquito is egg, then we have larva, then we have pupa, then we have adults. All right. Sorry, then we have adults. So with all these things in place, based on the life cycle of the mosquito, explain how each action carry out regularly to reduce the number of mosquitoes before they reach the adult stage. So in this question, they're given you 2 actions that they used to do to control the population of mosquitoes. Because we know that mosquitoes, when they reach adulthood, they spread diseases to humans, such as dengue fever, which is something that I'm sure many of you do not want to get. So efforts have been made to limit the population growth through action 1, remove stagnant water that collects in the environment, and action 2, spray oil on water in drain. So now this question asks you to explain how does remove stagnant water helps to reduce the number of mosquito in the world. Well, we know that mosquito, when they are going adult, when they're mate, they lay eggs in the water, right? So when we remove stagnant water that collected in the environment, there will be no place to lay eggs. When there's no place to lay eggs, the eggs cannot become larva, and so on and so forth. Therefore, effectively control the populations. That's why when there is no place to lay eggs, there will be fewer eggs. There will be fewer eggs hatch and develop into larvae and adults. So we must answer 2 different things. One is we will explain what is the effect of removing stagnant water, which is point number 1. The next thing we have to explain what is the effect of the life cycle. When there's fewer eggs, that means to say that less mosquitoes are being born, and therefore the number of mosquitoes will eventually decrease and reduce. This is how we explain action 1. Now let's look at action 2. The other method of reducing the number of mosquitoes is to spray oil on water in drain. We know that when we remove stagnant water, we are preventing mosquitoes from having a place to lay eggs. But what about action 2? When we spray oil on water, what actually happens? Well, when we spray oil on water in drain, we are actually targeting the larva stage of the life cycle for the mosquito. Why? Because when we spray oil on water in drain, basically means that to say that the young of the mosquitoes will not be able to obtain air. Hence, they are unable to breathe. They are able to breathe and will die eventually. Some of the students will ask me when it comes to this question, teacher, how do we know which are the pointers that we will gain mark? Or shall I say, which are the points or keywords that we should actually write or how did the examiner or markers give me the mark that I have? Let's take action 2 as an example. All right. Action 2, this whole question is 2 marks. So 2 marks being split into 2 different sections. Parts means 1 mark each. So action 2 has 1 mark, but out of this 1 mark, 0.5 mark will be given to cannot breathe. Those you spray oil on water, 0.5 mark means you cannot breathe. Then the remaining 0.5 mark will be given to will die eventually, because when the young cannot breathe, they die. There is not many, or shall I say, there won't be any mosquito adult not left, because all the young died. That particular place, no more young to grow to the adult. That's why the number of mosquito will reduce. So that's how the teachers or markers will give you the mark. All right. Next. Now we look at these questions. The diagram below shows fruit S. So we look at this one. We have this is fruit S. We've seen the seeds here. Next, this person called Suraj. Suraj basically carried out an experiment with the fruit S. So what happened is, right, he used 1 fruit S with 4 of part V. As shown here, this is part V. This is the entirety fruit S is part V. And dropped the fruit from the same height above the ground. So this is the ground, and then this is the same height. He recorded distance D traveled by fruit S from the starting point to the point where the fruits landed on the ground, as shown in the diagram. So this is the diagram to indicate what is the distance from this height when you throw the foot down, release the foot down, how far it travels at the same height. He then removed part V 1 at a time and repeat the experiments. So when there is 4 of part V, 1, 2, 3, 4, the part V, the fruit S actually travel 250 cm from here to here. As the number of part V decreases, you can see that the distance of travel decrease slowly. So based on what we have seen here, where when the number of part V is on the fruits S decrease, we realize that as the number of part V decreases, the number of distance also decreases. Therefore, we can answer the aim of Suraj's experiment. So what is the aim? The aim will basically means Suraj wanted to find out the number, how the number of part V affects the distance fruits S travel. All right. Because you see that the number of parts 4 is being removed 1 at a time. And we can show that the result very clearly states that as the number of part V decreases, the distance traveled decreases. Therefore, the aim of the experiment is to find out how the number of parts V affects the distance the fruit S travel. All right. So next questions. Based on the result recorded in the table, let me see whether can I one moment. Let me see whether can I do dual screen, the dual page. Hang on. Page display, 2-page view. Oh, I can't. Never mind. Let's go back. Sorry. My bad. All right, let's carry on. Sorry about the interruptions. Based on the result recorded on the table, what is the relationship between the number of part V on fruit S and the distance traveled by fruit S. As mentioned earlier just now, the number of part V decrease, therefore the distance will decrease. So therefore, to answer part B, all you do is basically just write down whatever that we mentioned just now. As the number of part B decreases, the distance traveled also decrease. So the answer for this question is, as the number of part V decreases, the distance traveled by the fruit decreases. Okay, so this one is reflected what he want to find, and therefore with this two table, we can see that the number of part B decrease, distance also decrease. This is how we answer part B. The next question, part C, is quite tricky because some of the people will ask, teacher, why the examiner want to know, or why is it not reliable? Why the examiner gives this kind of questions? I mean, in science, we do experiment. I'm sure that after doing one time, we will know, confirm that, we can conclude the finding through the result. But why did the question still ask me saying that it's not reliable? Well, basically, I believe that in all science experiment, we need to repeat the same experiment at least 3 times. No matter what experiment you did, be it chemistry, physics, or whatever, as long as science experiment, we need to repeat the experiment at least 3 times so that we can find the average and give an exact answer to it. So therefore, one of the reasons why the result is by Suresh is wrong is because he did not repeat the experiment at least 3 times, so that you can confirm and justify that actually, oh, after doing 3 times, if it's shown the same result, then he can conclude. Else, it's very hard to convince people that your finding is true, because what happens if another person do the same thing and got a different answer from you? That will be quite embarrassing, right? So therefore, to ensure that all experiments are reliable, the best way is to repeat the experiment at least 3 times to further confirm your answer. Because if you repeated the experiment 3 times and the result is the same, most likely when other people do the same thing, they will get the same answer as you. Therefore, it is more by doing at least 3 times, you are basically telling people that, look, it's very convincing now. I have done it 3 times and it's the same results. All right. So therefore, the answer for C is he did not repeat the experiment at least 3 times. Therefore, the result is not reliable. Now, the next question, state 2 characteristics of the fruit dispersed by wind. Well, based on this question, when the this fruit S is clearly saying that this fruit S, the seeds actually dispersed by wind. Reference to our We Love Science lesson on seed dispersal, we have actually learned that there are a few characteristics of the fruits that's needed in order to be able to disperse by the wind. Some of the example characteristics that we have actually learned before during the We Love Science series is that the seed, the first thing is must be or should be light, because if you want a wind to carry away, the first thing first is that the seed must be light enough for the wind to carry. Just imagine if the seed is as heavy as Teacher Andrew. Teacher Andrew is 120 kg. The wind cannot carry me away. So the seed itself should be at least very light, small, and have wind-like structure. Wind-like structure. These are the characteristics that is needed in order for the seeds to be dispersed, as we have learned before in the past. All right. So with that, I shall carry on to the next questions. Now, question 31. The diagram below shows the human respiratory systems. In the diagram above, identify and label the part of which the human respiratory system allow gaseous exchange to take place with the blood. The keywords: allow gaseous exchange to take place with the blood. This means to say that in the system itself, if you remember correctly what we have learned in the past, respiratory system consists of, we have the nose to breathe in, you have the windpipe to basically let the air travel down, you have the lungs that allow us to breathe in, breathe out, but the place that allows the blood to exchange carbon dioxide with oxygen is actually the air sac. And air sac is actually located here. Let's draw a line over. Air sac is located somewhere here, near to the branch line. So there are a few air sacs. We have this. These are the branches. All the ending to the branch inside the lung are all air sacs. The balloon-like structure in the lungs are air sacs. See this circle here, all this thing, let me go bigger. So this circle here are all air sacs. This is the place where gaseous exchange take place, whereby the blood will exchange carbon dioxide with the newly oxygened. All right, so let me just zoom out again and carry on lesson. Okay, so with that, we answered question number A, whereby air sacs is the one that allow exchange to take place with the blood. Next, a very unfortunate incident. Wei Qi and his brother were trapped in a faulty lift for 30 minutes. Fresh air cannot enter or leave the lift. So describe the changes in the amount of carbon dioxide oxygen in the lift after 30 minutes. For this question, all you need to answer is basically either increase or decrease. I have some students give me percentage of the oxygen and the carbon dioxide. I was wondering, in the question, I didn't say anything about the gaseous number of gram in the lift, but some students give me an answer whereby, Teacher Andrew, number of oxygen left is 20%. Carbon dioxide is 80%. But unfortunately, because the question never give you any amount of oxygen or carbon dioxide in the lift, by writing a percentage, you are actually giving yourself a wrong answer. The correct word to answer this question is basically, we look at the keyword changes. When we talk about changes in the amount, we are looking at increase or decrease. So when you are trapped in the lift, nobody is rescuing you yet. Fresh air cannot enter. You are still breathing. So all the oxygen in the lift will be slowly being used up and changed to carbon dioxide. Therefore, after 30 minutes, the oxygen level will decrease. As more gaseous exchange you breathe in, when you breathe in oxygen, breathe out carbon dioxide, the amount of carbon dioxide will actually increase. So there's no need for any students to write percentage or 200 gram per meter cube or whatsoever. Answer that in math, because this is a science test, science exam is not a math exam, unless the question give you the exact gram or exact percentage, then you answer in math. Else, just use English to answer the question. Changes equals to oxygen decrease, carbon dioxide increase. All right. So how do we know this? Explain your answer. Why do I say oxygen decrease or carbon dioxide increase? The answer for this question is very simple, because Wei Qi and his brother took in oxygen and breathed out, and gave out carbon dioxide. All right, this is the reason why Wei Qi and his brother breathing, and that's the reason why oxygen level decreased and carbon dioxide increased after a few moments. All right. So next questions. The respiratory systems work with system X to transport oxygen to all parts of the body. Identify body system X. When we look at this question, the key word is transport oxygen. So when I say transport oxygen, it means to say we are looking at the transportation network of the body. When we look at the transportation network of body, the first system that comes to your mind is blood vessel, because blood vessel is the only transport network in the body to be able to transport oxygen. So therefore, after thinking through, we know that blood vessels or heart belongs to the system called circulatory system. And therefore, with this keyword of transport, we can safely say that body system X is actually circulatory system. Now, 32B, describe how parts of the body system work together to remove carbon dioxide from the body to the surrounding air. For this question, we must we have to look back and think what we have learned about circulatory system. We know that circulatory system, the gas exchange happen in the air sacs. The blood will give out carbon dioxide and take in oxygen, and then the blood vessel will transport the blood all the way to all the part of the body, and then whereby after the body uses up the oxygen, it becomes carbon dioxide. So from this point, after the body uses up the oxygen and convert oxygen to carbon dioxide, the blood vessel, the blood in the body will then transport the carbon dioxide back to the air sacs, whereby the air sacs will then do exchange and push the carbon dioxide out of the body through breathing. To make all this that we have mentioned into a complete statement, we basically say this way: the blood in body system X transports carbon dioxide away from all parts of the body. Okay, wait one moment. All parts of the body. All right, and bring it to the lungs to be exhaled. Your lung, which will then be exhaled through the nose. So from there, as to do a complete sentence, basically the blood in body system X transport carbon dioxide away from all parts of the body and bring to the lung, which will then be exhaled through the nose. We inhale oxygen, we exhale carbon dioxide. All right. So let's move on to the next question then. All right, question 33. Allume mix a red substance with water to form a red color liquid. He then conducted an experiment to find out how presence of roots affects the amount of red color liquid left as shown below. So we have these two experiments. One is, I believe there is no roots. One, there is roots. And they are all in the red color liquid. So based on the experiment setup, one with roots, one with no roots. So basically, right, what is the function of the roots that is being investigated? Why does Adil want to cut away the roots on one plant and retain the root on the other plant? What exactly they wanted to find out on the function? When we recap, let's recap what we have learned in the plants chapter. We know that roots actually do one main important function, which is to absorb the water from the surrounding soil and to be consumed by the plant itself. So with that, we can answer this question by typing what we have learned, whereby the function of a root is to absorb water and mineral salt. All right. That's why he want to do experiment. If I cut away all the roots, can these plants still survive? All right. So let's carry on with these questions. After some time, Adil noticed that the leaf of the plant actually turns red. Explain his observation using the specific plant parts involved. So let's look at the diagram again. The leaves actually turns red. Why the leaf turn red? Okay. We must understand one thing. The plants, they are not going to be like human. We can choose what type of water, what type of food to drink, to eat. For the plants, the water carrying tube will transport whatever liquid that they have from the roots to the stem and to the leaves, which is why it turns red for the leaves. So since they don't have a chance to select, the answer for this question will basically be the water carrying tube will transport the liquid from the roots to the stem and to the leaves, which is why the leaf turns red. All right, next up. This person then have two rulers that he could measure the height of the water level in a test tube as shown below. So he have ruler K and ruler L. Why do you think ruler L is the best choice to measure the height of the water? Okay, let's see. We have ruler K, whereby it's 0, 0.5, 1, 1.5, 2. And then we have ruler L, we have 0.1, 0.2, 4, 6, 8, 1. Why ruler L is much better? Because ruler L has more scales marking and therefore will give the more accurate measurement. All right. So because we only have one line in between, if the water level is at here, we are unable to tell whether it is 0.5 or 0 or 0.2. So therefore, ruler K is out of pictures. But when we use ruler L, we can easily tell where the water level is. The water level at eye level is at here. We can tell that it's actually 0.6. Compared to here, where we can't tell whether it's 0.6 or 7. All right, therefore the answer why ruler L is the best choice. Ruler L has more scales marking and therefore will give the more accurate measurement. All right, next page. The diagram below shows the human digestive system. In the diagram above, let's identify and label the parts where digestion take place. So now, digestion take place at where? Let's recap. What are the different parts of the digestive system? We know that the food enter the mouth. From the mouth, it will go to the stomach. After the stomach, it will go down to the small intestine, which will then be moved to the blood vessels at the small intestines. So therefore, here we go. We have the mouth here, followed by the stomach here. And lastly, but not least, we have this little tiny thing here, is the small intestine. All right. We all know that in the mouth, in the stomach, in the small intestines, there are some fluids to help to digest the food, to make it smaller parts. What is the function of the digestive juice in the stomach? As mentioned just now, we have the mouth, the small intestine, and stomach have fluid to help to break the food into smaller parts. Therefore, the function of the juices are basically means to say that digestive juices are basically helps to break down food into smaller, or shall I say into simpler substances. All right. So the function of the digestive juices is basically to help to break the food into simple substance. All right, let's carry on to the next question. Some elderlies are missing a lot of teeth. They have difficulty in eating big pieces of food. Explain how having fewer teeth could result in a lower rate of digestion. Why we have no teeth means very hard to digest, because food, we all know that the food, the more surface area for the food be exposed to digestive juice, it's very hard for it to digest because it will take some time, and there's lesser exposed surface area of the food that's in bigger form. Just compare one tiny piece of meat and a big lump of meat. It will take a long time for it to digest for a big piece. Therefore, to answer this question, we will basically have to just say food in bigger portion, or sorry, in bigger pieces, food will be in bigger portion of pieces when the person had fewer teeth. Therefore, there there will be less exposed surface area of for the digestive juice to digest it. All right, because you have no teeth to break the food into smaller pieces, therefore there will be less exposed surface area for the digestive juice to do its job. All right, therefore having fewer teeth could result in a lower rate of digestion. All right, next questions. Xiao Li play badminton using a racket with a plastic handle. While playing, she perspired a lot and her racket keeps slipping off from her hand. Before the next game, she taped the plastic handle with a material A. Material A was not waterproof. She found that the racket did not slip from her hand during the game. Based on the information given, explain in terms of forces how this property of material A helped Xiao Li to grip her racket better. We all know that this material A is not waterproof. All right, number one. And the racket did not slip from her hand during the game. So how this property actually helped Xiao Li? When this is not waterproof, it means to say material A actually will basically absorb Xiao Li perspirations. All right, so that when it absorbed the perspiration, so that there was a increase friction between material A and her hand. Therefore, by having a lot of frictions, the badminton racket will not slip off from her hand. All right. Next one. During the game, Xiao Li hit the shuttlecock in the direction of her brother, who was facing her. He then hit it back in her direction so fast that she could not hit the shuttlecock back. State two effects on the shuttlecock where Xiao Li's brother hit it. All right, when you're playing game, two people are playing game now, one hit the shuttlecock to another hit back. When another person hit back to you, the first thing that changes is what? Based on the lesson of forces, the shuttlecock actually changed directions. Number one, the ball is moving this way, but after the person hit it back, it changed to move the other way. That's one thing first. Second, when the brother hit back so fast, Xiao Li cannot hit back. This means to say that the shuttlecock actually changed the speed. So through these two different things, right, it actually changes the direction and the speed. Therefore, Xiao Li was not able to hit it. All right. So these are two different effects for the shuttlecock. Okay, next questions. Wen Jie built a toy as shown in the diagram 1 below. He pushed the handle down and compress the spring to point A. Here is point A, as shown as diagram 2. When the handle is released, the ball X was launched upwards. It reaches the height B and it falls back to the handle again. So now, state the energy conversions that took place in the toy. In our lesson on energy, we talk about object at rest. There's energy acting on it, which is known as potential energy. Energy will not be destroyed. It will be converted into different forms. So first of all, we have the potential energy. Then after that, when we release the spring, the ball moves. When the ball moves, it converts potential energy to kinetic energy. All right, to kinetic energy. After some time bouncing up and down, it will eventually come to a stop, which is potential energy again. This is how we explain the different conversion of energy for these questions. All right. Next up. Wenjie noticed that after the ball touched the handle, it bounced back up but did not reach height B. Why it did not reach height B? We have to explain these observations in terms of energy conversion. Remember, when I say the same amount of energy will always stay the same, it only gets converted, but it will not be destroyed. So where does the energy go? Why after some time the ball go up and down, it will always go lower and lower the height of the previous one? Why? Or should I say, where does the remaining energy goes? So students, for this must be very careful. First of all, right, when the same amount of energy, to explain the question, we will use that the same amount of potential energy was converted to the same amount of kinetic energy when the ball first reach height B. But, however, some of the kinetic energy will be converted to heat energy and sound energy. Now I'm basically introducing you to another energy, heat energy and sound energy, due to friction and resistance. All right. Therefore, with this kind of repeated actions, the ball, so the ball will then have lesser kinetic energy to convert back to potential. Therefore, the height gets lower and lower. So therefore, the ball has less kinetic energy to reach B. All right. Okay. So, all right, okay. So therefore, the number of the height, right, will never remain the same. Okay. This is something that we need to note. All right, so next question. Let's do the last question before we end. All right. So Wenjie wanted to launch ball X to a greater height C, as shown here in the diagram below. Using the same setting, what should Wenjie do to launch ball X to height C? Just now when the Wenjie launched the thing, it only reaches height B. So how do you reach height C? The only changing factor is actually this point here. the spring. To make it to reach height C, all we need to do is basically push the handle down more or hard in order to convert to greater potential energy. All right, and that's how we answer question number 36C. All right, with that, I will end the session today. Should you have any questions, feel free to ask me in Zalo. All right, with that, I shall end the session today. Goodbye. See you next week when I see you. Bye, Alice, everyone. Bye-bye.
Bye. See you next.
Bye-bye.
Bye,
See you.
teacher. See you
Bye,
again
See you again. Thank you very
on
much.
next. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Week.
Bye bye.
Bye-bye. Take care.